Hi there everybody, and welcome to another video. On today's video I have this little smart Fortwo. This is the 1 liter MHD 2011 model. I'm going to be changing the oil and the oil filter, so we have to do it from underneath and on the back of the car, so the engine is sitting on the back. So to get started, I'm just going to open the rear window here. And also we're going to open this door here. So then I'm going to get to this bit is supposed to be here. I just want to lift this up, and then we open this little thing here, and then we can open this cap. And what I want to do is from here is basically, you can actually remove this little cover. We can remove it, but I may just put it there temporarily. I want to open the oil filler cap here and pull the dipstick as well. So I just want to open those two in order to allow some air into the system while we drain it. There we are. So I'm just going to leave that there and that sitting there. Now I'm going to get the car up and I'm going to drain the oil and change the filter from underneath. It's a fairly simple process on this car. So what I have here is I have an oil filter, and I have a tool for removing the old oil filter. This tool, it's a size 6814. So size 68, and this fits that, but it's not. So I'm not going to be using that for refitting the filter. It's just for removing. When we refit the filter, we just do it by hand, so hand tight. And I'm also going to use a 24mm socket to remove the bolt, the sun plug bolt, to drain the oil. And also I have some oil now. They do recommend 0W40. So this isn't the oil that I'm going to be using, because this one is C3. It's mainly for diesel engines. So I am waiting for the correct one to come to me. But they do recommend 0W40 or 5W40. But it's best to use the one for petrol. So this is this is used for petrol as well, but I think the C3 is most focused on the diesel engines. Anyway, so use the one for petrol, so not this one. And that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to so if we look, also get an oil pan. Obviously got an oil pan there, and this is the back of the car. This is the sump plug here, and we are going to crack that open. It is quite a big bolt, so I'm not sure how tight it will be, but I can extend my wrench. This is a really good wrench, by the way, and crack that open. It was a little bit tight, but anyway. Now get your oil pan underneath, and then we can take this off. Also, if the car has been running for a while, if you had it running for some time, the oil can be very hot. In this case, I only ran the car for 10 minutes or so just to warm it up, and so I can drain my oil, and so it's not really that hot. Okay, there's a big washer there, and to be honest, I haven't got a big washer to replace that, but it is recommended to replace the copper washer. And that there's a little filter there as well, so we can clean this and let this oil drain for now, and then we can take the filter out as well. So this is the filter I'm using, by the way, the Malay one OC607. And I was just preparing my filter as well, so I removed the plastic cover that was on here, and basically I've put a little bit of multi-purpose grease on the O-ring there. You can also use a bit of oil on that O-ring. I normally do that so when we close the filter, the O-ring sort of smoothly rotates as you're closing this. I believe that if it's dry, sometimes it can get damaged, but I'm pretty sure many people have done it without ever having to put grease on it. So there's always different experiences out there. And also I've cleaned that, but I would recommend, if you're doing the job and planning ahead, get a washer, which is something that I didn't, and I haven't got one of those. That's quite a big one. So let's get this. This is still draining. Technically there is supposed to be 3.7 liters, I think my supplier said. Now also get your oil pan sitting under that filter, because it's going to drip some oil. And so this oil filter, again, it's not supposed to be in too tight. The one they used, I can see, is a blueprint one. I'm using a Malay one. They use a blueprint one. Not really a barbaric difference there. I think blueprint is German, but I think Malay also German. So some oil will drip. And you can just take it out of there. There'll still be some oil in there once you get it out, so you can drain it into your oil pan. Changing oil and filters and whatnot is always a messy job. Oil goes everywhere for some reason. If you haven't done a mess here and you're feeling lucky, don't worry. Somewhere along the line you're going to drop some oil on the floor. Just kidding. I'm sure you can manage without that. I don't know why I still can't, but one day I will. Right, now we can let this drain for a while, and we already have our filter ready, but also we're going to clean this area here, make sure it's nice and clean before we fit our new filter. What I noticed is that that filter that I removed had a little bit of corrosion on it, on the side, so I just want to make sure there's no corrosion here, because obviously that can cause a leak. If the new filter doesn't sit properly, it can cause a leak. So this seems to be okay. It does need a bit more of a clean. I may need to use some brake cleaner, which is a sort of dissolvent, so it dissolves grease and whatnot, because you can see here this carbon has formed around the filter, and those little things, with time, they become bigger and bigger and bigger. So obviously you don't always have to keep cleaning it, but one day it will become thicker, and then your oil will start leaking from the side. So it's best to maybe from time to time give it a clean, get rid of that carbon. You can see it's coming up with my nail there, so we might be able to spray some of that brake and clutch cleaner, and it might melt it away. Okay, I left this draining for a while as I went to have lunch. Now I've cleaned the area nicely. You can see it's nice and shiny, and I'm gonna put my filter back, the new filter on. Just tighten it by hand. And now we can put our sun plug bolt back on as well. Let's get this sun plug bolt back in there, and as I said many times, I recommend changing the washer, which I will not be doing myself today because I haven't got one. Now I was trying to find the torque setting for this bolt, and I found some torque settings of 50 Newton meters and another site saying 65. Now it is a pretty big bolt, so what I've done is I set my torque range here to 56 Newton meters, and I just want to see how that feels. Okay, so that is 56, and I think that could easily go to 60. Right, I just set my range to 63 Newton meters, and we'll see how that goes. Well, there we are. Right, I got it on 65 now. I just wanted to go on a stage just to make sure I don't damage anything. But that's it. You can actually tighten it to 65 Newton meters. I thought it would be quite a lot of force, but it is, but it's pretty much doable. So I guess they were right at 65. But that is done with a 24 mil. So that is on. Now we can lower the car and put some oil. Don't forget to clean the area. Otherwise you might think that is a leak. So if you leave it nice and clean as it was, if there is a leak for any reason, in my case it would be because I didn't change the copper washer, but if it is for other reason, then obviously you can monitor that situation. Make sure wherever there is oil, you clean it, and then when you come to it next time, if there is any oil, then you can try to see where it's coming from. But if you didn't clean it, you might get confused as to whether there was oil that you left or that is leaking. So anyway, I'm gonna lower the car now. This fluid, by the way, is as I mentioned, brake and clutch cleaner. Time to top up some oil. I've got my manual here, and the oil capacity stated in the manual is for petrol engines approximately 3.7 liters. It says refill capacity with filter, so 3.7. If you have the diesel version, it says 3.4 to 3.6 liters. So this is a 1 liter engine, the 2011 451, and also it talks about here about the engine oil viscosity. So it asks you to choose the oil viscosity according to the time of the year, basically, and it shows you a list here of the types of oil that you would choose according to the temperature. So I mean, I'm here in the UK, and the temperatures are never extreme to one way or the other, so this is why I normally use 5W30, this one here, which covers a good range of temperatures. However, if you were in a very hot country where the temperatures are always on the hot side, then you would choose something like 20W40, 20W50. And if you are obviously in countries where it's very cold, you could choose 0W30, 5W30, or even well, in other cars there is 0W20 and whatnot. So on today's oil I have is 5W40, and again that covers a wide range of temperatures, but up to what, minus it will do -15, -20 and +30, so that should be just fine. And as we saw, 3.7 liters, so that's what I'm going to be adding. And I've got a funnel there, so what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and pour the oil in there, and then we can check the dipstick. The dipstick is here. It's quite a long one, but it does have a min and a max. We'll have a look at the manual in a minute, but obviously we want to be somewhere in between the min and the max, probably towards the max, since we're just changing the oil. Okay, looking at the manual again, the dipstick. I have this dipstick here. You can just about see, maybe you can see there's an L there and there's an F there. Bit difficult to see, to be fair. So we have low and full, and so this is the dipstick type that I have. And what they say is, so between 2 and 3 there we have a full and a low. Same for this type of dipstick, so that's just a slightly different looking dipstick, but I guess that's the diesel one and this is the petrol one. Yeah, it's written there. So anyway, it says pull out the dipstick, clean it, replace it, wait for about a minute, pull the dipstick out again. The oil must be between minimum Mark 3 and maximum Mark 2. So, and then replace the oil. And obviously that you would do that if you were checking the oil halfway through the year or whatever. But today we're checking it because we just done an oil change. Just want to see where it's at. So we put it in there, and just got a bit of paper here to avoid messing everything up. We'll take it out, and I can see, it might be difficult for you guys to see, but the oil is right up there. Where the shine is, you can just about see the shine. It's showing a little bit above the full, the F mark, which is just fine, because as soon as we run the engine, some of the oil will go into the oil filter and will remain in there. And if you were to check your dipstick again, it would have dropped a little bit to the full. So I am happy with that, and I'm just going to put my dipstick back in there actually, and we can just put our cover back on here, and we can start the car. Just make sure everything is running well and there isn't any dramas. So let's get into the car here, and we're gonna see, make sure the oil pressure is good. So oil pressure light or oil warning lamp is gone out, and then the last thing you could do is just go and check for any obvious oil leaks or anything like that. Obviously in this car it's quite easy, just get down here and check down there. And if there is anything dramatically happening, then obviously you can switch off the car. But as far as it goes, this is just the way I would change my oil, so it's just a guide anyway, it's for reference only that I put up the video. So anything you do or you don't do to yourself or your car is at your own risk. Just remember that. It's entirely your choice if you follow my steps or not. So having said that, I hope the video helps, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And on the next video I'm going to be changing the air filter in this car. And on the next one, I'm gonna look at the pollen filter and also how to tackle some wiper blades. So stay tuned and we'll see you on the next video.